Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and this is your stimulus check update for the next stimulus package for Wednesday, November 11th. I hope everyone is off to a good and safe start to their Wednesday so far. In this video, I'll be discussing updates in regards to the next relief package and the second stimulus check. I'll also be discussing unemployment, what lawmakers on both sides are saying about the possibility of another relief package, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, give me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so we are headed into day 3 of the Senate's return to Washington, where they look to finally secure a bipartisan relief package. In the first 2 days, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer have faced off with what should be in the next stimulus package. Chuck Schumer has been calling on Republicans to pursue a bipartisan solution rather than the stunts of recent months. These stunts being targeted relief packages in the $500 billion range that Democrats don't feel are high enough. Schumer believes that Republicans so far have been proposing totally inadequate solutions on virus relief. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, on the other hand, said that Congress should pass a limited stimulus bill by year's end, with the positive decline in unemployment numbers released for the month of October. In addition to that, McConnell believes that the encouraging news on our progress for vaccine also signals less of a need for a huge relief package. Recently, Pfizer said that its experimental vaccine might be 90% effective, which caused a rally in U.S. stocks earlier this week. Missouri Republican Senator Roy Blunt said that he thinks both sides are saying they want one, but both sides are saying they want the one they want. I think Blunt sums it up pretty good here. While both the Republicans and the Democrats want another relief package, they've been unwilling to budge off of what they believe should be in the package. Quite simply, we haven't seen either side really willing to compromise. Republican Senator John Cornyn said, quote, "There is a compelling case for a new bill, but not one that was the size Democrats were aiming for. I don't know what the magic number is, but it's not zero and it's not $3 trillion. The $3 trillion, of course, was a reference to the HEROES Act bill Democrats passed back in May in the House, which McConnell called dead on arrival in the Senate. Republicans believe that bill was full of money not even related to the virus, calling it a Democratic wish list. If a bipartisan compromise isn't reached by the end of the year, all eyes will be focused on the 2 runoffs for the Senate in the state of Georgia. At the moment, Republicans have 50 seats, so if they can win just one of the 2 seats in Georgia, Republicans will maintain a majority in the Senate, which will put more pressure on Nancy Pelosi to compromise. If Democrats find a way to win both seats in Georgia, we'll have a 50-50 split, giving Democrats an edge with Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker. Now, with any relief package, for it to pass, it would need to have 60 votes in the Senate, which means that even if there were 50 Democrats approving a bill, we would still need 10 Republicans to approve it in order for it to pass. This is why Mitch McConnell and Republicans in the Senate were unable to pass any relief bills. Each one they tried passing through the Senate was blocked by Democrats, who would vote no on it simply because they believed the price tag wasn't high enough. This is where Democrats want to change the rule. Before the election, when they thought they would have a good chance to take over the majority in the Senate, there were rumors that Democrats were looking to kill the filibuster rule in the Senate. This would make it so the Senate could pass legislation with just a simple majority of 51 votes. Not only would they be able to pass legislation on relief packages with just 51 votes instead of 60, but they could also pass legislation related to climate change, etc. Back in 1917, the Senate required a 2/3 vote to end the filibuster. Then, in 1975, that got lowered down to 60 votes or 3/5. So, if you can imagine, it used to be even more difficult to pass legislation decades ago. Now, the whole point in the filibuster is to make the Senate more of a cooling saucer for legislation. It makes it so if laws are to pass, they need to have a really strong backing all around in the Senate, and it helps slow things down, which can be both a good thing and a bad thing. Filibusters are great when they work in your party's favor because it allows laws you don't necessarily like to be blocked if they don't have a huge backing. On the other hand, in times like these, when aid is desperately needed, it makes it much harder to pass bills if they don't have overwhelming bipartisan support. So, to come full circle, if Democrats were able to kill the filibuster rule and they took over the Senate majority, they could have passed the HEROES Act once again in the House and then passed it with only a simple majority of 51 votes in the Senate. So then they wouldn't even need to work with Republicans in a bipartisan way if they were able to do just that. But since it looks like Republicans are going to maintain a majority in the Senate, the likelihood of the filibuster being removed will be nixed, at least for now. What this means, basically, is since the two sides will be forced to work together in a bipartisan way and agree to the same overall price tag, it will make things a little bit more difficult. We'll be right back to square one of Nancy Pelosi and most Democrats saying go big, with McConnell and Republicans looking for more of a targeted package. Now, is it possible they still reach a deal even with all those differences? Definitely, but we're going to have to see a major thought process change in the two sides. It's quite possible that Pelosi may eventually see the continued improvement in the unemployment, paired with possibly a successful vaccine in the future, and agree that they only need a skinny deal. And even in a skinny deal, I would expect to see more stimulus checks and enhanced unemployment benefits in it, two things that would be incredibly helpful to American families. But until one of the two sides can come to that realization, unfortunately, Americans will be forced to continue waiting. If only our lawmakers could have a dose of reality and see that many families simply cannot afford to wait much longer. We needed this aid months ago, and many people simply cannot afford to wait until March or April for more relief. It's ridiculous. In the meantime, as always, let's hang in there, stay strong, and hope for the best. In unemployment news, if you live in the state of Pennsylvania, you're now eligible to claim benefits for up to 1 year after you became eligible. This is according to the Department of Labor and Industry, who says that this emergency regulation will help ensure that no eligible claimants will lose out on payments because of the hardships caused by this pandemic. Now, at the end of this year, the 13-week extension of unemployment benefits, as well as the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, will both be ending. This will only put more pressure on lawmakers to reach a bipartisan compromise. And with the eviction moratorium issued by the CDC also expiring at year's end, as well as student loan deferrals, they'll need to act quickly to pass something. Even though we are seeing the unemployment rate drop below 7% for the first time since March, we still have a long way to go in order to get our unemployment rate back down to pre-pandemic levels. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to move right along to answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you do have any other comments or questions for me, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to answer as many of the comments and questions as I possibly can, but for those comments and questions I'm not able to respond to, I do try to pick some of the more popular ones to answer in the next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video, which is from Dave. Dave says, so if Mitch and company plan on including $300 per week in unemployment, I assume it will be retroactive? I assume they realize the total price tag grows with time. Okay, thank you so much for your question, Dave. And yes, more than likely, if they do pass another leave package, it will be retroactive to right around September 12th. This is when the benefits ended from the Lost Wages Assistance Program. As you mentioned, if it does end up being retroactive, and let's say they don't pass a bill until March, that's already 7 months of retroactive benefits from September until March, which creates a pretty big price tag in itself. Then, of course, if they extend the benefits for another 3 months through May, then that's going to be 10 months total at $300 per week. So you're exactly right. The total price tag will only continue to rise as time goes on if these benefits do end up being retroactive. Okay, moving right along to the next question in today's video, which is from Fatty. Fatty says, I have a question for you. Does the unemployment money from the federal government have to be paid back? Okay, thank you so much for your question, Fatty. And the unemployment money received from the government will not have to be paid back. Of course, like any other income you'd receive, you will have to pay federal taxes on that money. So if you chose to have the money taken out ahead of time, then most likely you won't owe anything more. However, if they didn't take anything out in taxes from your unemployment benefits, then you should make sure to set some of it aside for tax season. Now, I'm sure you've also seen that some states have actually requested people to pay their unemployment benefits back to the state. This is only because the people who received the benefits were either fraudulently applying for the benefits when they weren't actually legally eligible for them, or they were simply overpaid on accident. As long as you're truly eligible for the benefits, then you won't have to pay back any of that money. Okay, moving right along to the last question of today's video, which is from Renee. Renee says, Josh, when the second stimulus comes out, will it automatically come on the card they sent my first payment on? Thank you so much for your question, Renee. And if you're talking about the debit card they sent some Americans their first payments on, more than likely you should. This would obviously be the fastest and most convenient way for the IRS to send you your payment. However, they may just decide to do away with those cards and send all further payments as a direct deposit or check in the mail. Now, if you're talking about your Direct Express card, where you may or may not receive your benefits from Social Security, then yes, you should absolutely receive your second payment on that card as well. Alright, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so and it's a great support to me. Also, if you'd like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull with both stocks valued all the way up to $1,600, please feel free to claim those 2 free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.